Well, it's that most dreaded time of the year. Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller. Welcome into the Fun Astrology Podcast for Tuesday, May 10th. Mercury is turning retrograde this morning. Geez, that sounded so dour. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. Come on. Okay, so we will, as of 7:47 this morning, have two planets in retrograde. Pluto is the other. But boy, if you fire up the mainstream media blogs, oh, it's Mercury retrograde. We have to shut our life down for the next 3 weeks. No, you don't. And in fact, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I told you that we are so excited that Robert Glasscock and I are releasing this astrology podcast. We've got a name for it now. It's called Old Soul, New Soul, and the plan is to launch it Thursday evening at 7 p.m. This is going to be like the equivalent of the Unplugged albums. This is going to be Robert Glasscock Unplugged, teaching some of this amazing stuff that I've been accumulating for the last couple of years that now we are going to share out to everybody. And one of the first things that we're going to talk about is how to rectify your birth chart. It's really more how to dial it in than rectify. If you know a close range, then you dial it in. This isn't one of those that if you don't have at least some symmetry of when it was. I've got another guy for that. We're going to talk about all of that tomorrow. But it's going to just be loaded, this podcast, with astrological information. Well, we are launching it Thursday. Mercury will already be in retrograde. So the podcast is doomed for failure right off the bat, isn't it? No, because, and this is the cool part of getting to work with a really master astrologer, as he pointed out, the real birth of this project happened on Saturday when I reached out to him. So that's the natal chart. This is the first show launch. And what is this whole podcast going to be about? Old soul, new soul, soul journey, the map, how to read the map, why are we here? Which brings us to reincarnation, revisiting planet Earth with a new set of instructions. These are all re-terms, which get magnified under retrograde. So really what we should do is do well to hit the soul journey part hard right off the top for the first 3 weeks. And that's probably what we'll do, or variations of it. So we just play to the theme. So think of things that begin with re. Rest is one of them. Note to self. And then regeneration, rebirth, renewal, reevaluate, retool, revive. I like the suggestion I heard, and I can't remember who attributed it when I first heard it, was to just take a break as much as you can from some of these things, from electronics, from all of the things that we do. And I know, like for me and my lifestyle, impossible to do, or I'd literally have to go on a 3-week hiatus. And I think there's also merit to evaluating what moves you might make or which ones you might put off for the next 3.5 or so weeks until we come out of this. Remember, we are going Mercury retrograde today, and the infamous moon wobble peaks on Friday the 13th. So just keep all of that in context. And if you do have big major decisions, especially this week, to say, is there any way that you could defer that or set them aside? Just treat the week like a great big long moon void, of course, if you're sensitive to that and if that's important to you. And then I remember the other side of the coin when Yogananda says, give me the worst week. I mean, give me this week. I'll launch something and I'll make it successful. We are creators. Let's talk about the other big one because it deserves equal treatment, and that is Jupiter moving into Aries. Now, that's the bookend of the day that we were talking about yesterday, 7:22 p.m. Now, we know that this is not goodbye to Jupiter in Pisces. It will come back the end of October for about a 6-week stretch, so we'll get to visit it again in the later degrees. But now we're going to get to see what Jupiter, a fire planet, in the fieriest of the fire, Aries, is like. The good place to start with this is going to be amplification of projects. Now, if we're talking about, and I'm taking this very seriously now, the unprovoked attack on Ukraine, could that be amplified? Yes. Virus? Yes. Sinister plots? Yes. Food shortages? Yes. Okay, you get the idea, right? So we could enter this summer of magnification of these things. If you go back to Friday's episode with Tiffany's great question about that aspect, those double aspects in the chart in late July, that could pair up with this aspect. So we'll see. Have your eye on it. Don't be unaware. Now, what could it magnify on the other side? Spiritual revival and awakening. Oh my gosh, people are asking and inquiring so much now. There is such a hunger to learn and to know. Our audiobook sales went through the roof the last about 6 weeks. People are seeking alternative answers. Could that expand? I would say it's just about guaranteed. I had a reading a couple of weeks ago from one of our listeners who is doing this amazing work with outer planets, fixed stars, constellations, galaxies, etc. She's just starting. She's completing her certification in this study, and she's already booked into the summer. So if you're considering any kind of spiritual work, spiritual business, getting into something that is answering these questions, that is delivering this service of alternative answers, I would say load the pickup truck until the wheels are dragging and go to town. What's another one that we might see over the next few months as Jupiter is in Aries? Especially as Jupiter just left its own co-owned turf with Neptune of Pisces. Truth versus deception. Might there be a greater quest for real answers? Might Jupiter be able to pull the veil back, or at least to fire people up enough to build some passion under them to quit being just so wet spaghetti about all of these things that are being crammed down our throats? Like that scene with Nicholson and Tom Cruise. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Jupiter says I'm getting the truth. Well, something like that. But maybe this quest for the truth, maybe to say, I'm not taking the lines anymore from any of you. I want the truth. Is that possible? I think it could be. So just like about a year ago when Jupiter tipped into Pisces for the first time and the Delta variant of the COVID just kind of exploded when it moved into Pisces, that was the first hand that we saw of that. We'll see here in the next 30, 60, 90 days what this Jupiter in Aries characteristic is going to look like. So mark the day, because energy shifted in the chart, in the sky, and in our lives as of today. We'll be back tomorrow with that great listener question about how do we rectify our chart if we don't know our birth time. Have a great Tuesday. Enjoy the energy, and we'll see you back tomorrow.